Welcome everyone at our stage, at our session in the framework of Beyond Expo. We're here. First, I'm Aimilios Perdikaris. I'm the general manager of Athens News Agency, and we will talk for the following about half an hour about the digital transformation model and how this era, the era of digital transformation, of digital transition, has an effect on reporting news, especially if we're talking about news agencies. And let me introduce you Ms. Derya Gülnaz Özcan. She's welcome. She's a correspondent and representative for Anadolu Ajansı from Turkey. Welcome again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And let's start discussing immediately. What do you think about digital transformation? What do we mean when we are talking about digital transformation regarding news agencies and reporting the news in general?
It's a huge change. We can start saying this because the traditional media was totally different, but in the new era, digital media has brought lots of things. What are the differences? The traditional media was giving us information whenever it wanted. We had to wait for the news on the TV on a specific time to have the information, or we had to wait for the newspapers to read the next day. But now I think the basic difference in the new era, the digital era, is that we have the information very quickly. And this is a basic difference. We don't need to take the newspaper, we don't need to wait for the newspaper. So that's why lots of newspapers also has transferred into digital. Of course, this is a little bit sorrow for the old readers, but everyone is reading on the phones, on smartphones. So we also, the agencies, have to be very quick. We have more stress on us regarding the time.
And of course, we're talking about digital media, we're talking about digital content. We're not talking about just text, reporting and giving a text.
Yeah.
We're talking also about digital content, correct?
Yes, yes. And the content has also changed a lot because everyone is reporter now. Everyone can find the information and can share the information. So it's a little bit sometimes dangerous, of course, because it can mislead you. It can be wrong information, and in some seconds the wrong information can be shared by everyone. But everyone can find the information and share it. So we have a lot of steps. Writing some news, finding a report. We need to check it. We need to check it again. We need to wait for the official information. But in the digital time, everyone shares everything before checking and before everything. So we are racing with something which is really fast.
Well, let me introduce you Ms. Iliana Georgieva too. Welcome. You're coming from Bulgaria, from BTA, Bulgarian News Agency. You're expert for European programs, right?
Right.
And you need this, of course.
Yes, hi everybody. Sorry for my delay, but I just arrived from Sofia and I got lost in Thessaloniki a little bit. So I'm very happy to be here and to discuss this thematic because it's really important nowadays. We are facing this, how digitalization rush in our lives, not only in information, but in all aspects of our life. Talking about digitalization, I think it have plus and minus. First, it's very easy now to find information everywhere. all kind of information, but on the other hand, it's very difficult to trust, to find the right source of information. And I think that this is the main role of the media now, to provide, to teach people how to find the right source of information. And maybe the media literacy is a really important topic now these days. Concerning Balkans, it's a very, very important thematic, because we all see how hate speech, disinformation, how Russian propaganda, and on the other hand, propaganda from America is fighting here on our lands. And of course, the barrier is the language, because Balkans are very small territory, but we have very, very difficult languages.
Well, I don't know if I can speak loud, but I think we need the microphone. Thank you for technical reasons. I'd like to ask you, concluding and commenting on your remarks, what are the challenges? And I'm meaning, when I'm saying what are the challenges, or I'm asking you what are the challenges, the meaning is, what about the journalists? Are the journalists just fact checkers? Are the fact checkers journalists? They are both. What's it? What's the idea?
I'm not quite sure, because I'm not a journalist, but I'm a user of this information, and I can talk about my position about you. I expect from journalists to provide true information. So for me, journalists are not just fact checkers. Working for Bulgarian news agency, for us is very, very important to provide true information and to check. But I don't know. It's very complicated.
Maybe you can give a more convincing answer, because you are journalist, you are correspondent of your agency in Greece. What's your opinion on that?
Yes, we have to check every detail while we are giving a report, especially our agency is also very, gives big importance to this. Why? Because when we see some news, it can be also on another media which is really, which we trust, but we have to check it once again. For example, one agency can say that 3 people died, but you have to check it with the police, you have to check it with the authorities, and also for the announcements sometimes, for the politicians, when they make a speech, a politician makes a speech, sometimes we all reporters write very quickly and we can miss one word. If you take this information from your colleague, which had to write quickly, you can bring also this false information to your own report. So we have to go back to the video or to the speech directly to listen, to understand, and then write it again. So you cannot take one information from one source which had also another source. It's complicated. You have to find the main source and listen yourself, understand, read yourself, and then to write. Also, in some cases, like our agency, we have to translate because the statements are usually in Greek or in English, but we have to translate it into our language. Translation is a big burden for us because we are not translators, but we have to be careful. We have to understand the whole context. In digital media, of course, there's a big advantage. You can translate everything in seconds. So if Mitsotakis makes a statement on Twitter, you just click it and you see it in your own language. But it's sometimes not very true. It's just Google Translate. So to understand the real meaning, you have to know the language very well, and you have to know the context so that you can understand what he wants to emphasize with this. So it's not just seeing, listening, reading and writing. It's a lot of things. It's a big complex that you have to evaluate everything together and then make your own statement.
Let me add something on this. And the question is common, of course. Does this apply for AI too? We have AI now, an automatic translation.
Yes.
Should we understand the environment, what's happening around us, or should we just put the text in the AI machine and have the output?
I don't think that it will be so easy, the AI, to understand things. Okay, it's very successful, we see, but for simple things, especially when the subject is human and the subject is politics, it's difficult to transform this information because there is a past, there is a history. Mitsotakis can make, sorry, I always say Mitsotakis because he's the prime minister right now.
You covered the elections as well.
Yes, he can make a statement referring to something which happened in the past days or just making a joke, and the AI will not understand this. I think the human is still in the center of news, everything.
And what's your opinion on this?
My opinion is opposite. We should use this AI technology because we see very good examples about software based on AI, how it could translate just in second videos and in very good manner in every language in the world. And using AI and big data, it's a big advantage for information agency, I think. But we should know how to use it. It's very important for journalists now to have digital skills. It's very important. How to use this AI, how to learn this AI to understand what people are talking. So I believe this in these technologies.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. Of course, we should use this new technology, but it still needs the human check, I think, on it, or human comment on it, because it cannot understand everything, I believe.
Or maybe we should follow the principle that garbage in, garbage out. We must be very careful about the input, not only the output.
Yes, also the input, but news is also some senses, feelings. It's not just the information. Especially as news agencies, we are trying to be fact-based, so we don't give comments, we don't give feelings in it, but in total, yes, the news, the information has also the feelings, has the human aspect in it.
Let me ask you about the digital transition. For example, in Athens News Agency, we're planning, we've already planned a digital transition model, a digital transition project, and this combines technological equipment with technological developments, digital skills, and things like AI, what we just described. Do you believe that when we're talking about digital transition regarding the media, the right thing is to focus on only on technological equipment, or on digital developments, on digital media, on digital content, or do we need to combine all these things?
Of course, we should use digital technologies and develop digital skills in people. It's very important because having a high-tech technology and very expensive and up-to-date, it's not enough. We need people to know how to use and to develop news with this.
Let me ask you the same now.
Yes, digital technology is for sure very important because you are also in a rival with other companies which already use them. So you need it to be fast as at least. But also the digital media is also very important because everyone wants to choose the information now. We have a variety of information and a variety of sources. The new digital era has brought this. It's not like the old days, just the newspapers, just the TV, just the agencies. There, one can open a blog, one can open a YouTube YouTube channel and be the source of the information. So digitalizing is very important, and of course it's a little bit more attractive for the readers and for the audiences, because in the old traditional way, you read in the newspaper, you see the photo, of course it's very important, but now we have some short videos which gives the audience, the reader, the feeling that they witness the fact, they witness the information. So it's important on this way, and on the other way, we can say that it's somehow funnier. More entertainment way, because we have video editings, we can put music, so people enjoy having the information, getting the information from digital media rather than the traditional TV way or the newspaper way. I used to work in TV for more than 10 years. Of course, it's the basic source we used to work with. But now the digital media is, I think, getting ahead.
Maybe this is the next question. We were used to say that news agencies are the gatekeepers of information. Are they still the gatekeepers in the digital era? What do you think?
Of course they have to, but we need time to make this transition. Because, as I told you before, to be true, to give the true information, we need to make this fact checking. Yes, this process we have to make this process. So another one can be faster than us, but of course this doesn't mean that they give the true information. So yes, we need time to make the transition to the digital media, but also we need time to be the true source of information.
What do you think?
Yes, journalists are gatekeepers for the information, and we could use new technology, especially AI, for how to say, to fasten the process of checking. We still need to check the information, but maybe we could use this technology to make it very fast.
And what about social media now? Of course, it's impossible to imagine that social media are out of this environment if we're talking about digital content, if we're talking about digital media. We have a big problem. The big problem is the credibility. Fact-checking, as we called it. Should we use social media as a source at first? And second, should we use social media to spread the news?
The last one, sorry? Should we use?
This, social media for spreading the news.
Spreading the news.
I think that yes, social media is a very good channel to reach the young people and people who don't check the pages of agencies. Personally, I use first social media because it's very fast. But again, I think that we should, agency and provider of the right information should learn people how to use social media and how to check if the source is propaganda or fake. This is the idea. We should not avoid the social media. I think it's a good idea.
And as a source for social media, I could suggest it depends, because yes, social media can be a source. Especially lately, we use the social media as a source because lots of statements from the politicians, from the authorities are made on social media. So of course it can be used as a source, but you have to check it again to see if the source is the right. It's not fake, yes. And then of course we must use social media to spread the news because it's faster, and no one wants to wait for the news time at 8 o'clock in the evening. No one wants to wait the tomorrow's newspapers to read yesterday's news. So the social media is for sure necessary for everyone.
Now, what do you think that that is the most important when we're talking about digital transition, about the new era for journalists? Is maybe the fact that journalists now have to be well skilled in different ways. They should use their camera. They should write, for example, on their phones and send the text immediately, as you mentioned earlier, regarding the speed. Is the fact that they have to know the general environment regarding politics, for example, or finance, or businesses. Are journalists of today and journalists of the day next, journalists who are different, who are not, they are like, I don't know how to describe it with the most appropriate word, but they are doing everything, not just writing a text or sending some photos.
I could tell you about my own experience. When I started this job as a journalist, it was 2009, and we had the cameraman, we had the big camera. That time it was the high technology, a laptop, and sometimes began, which was a big case, and we could go to, let's say, some fireplace in the forest, and we could just have live broadcasting there. And this big thing was, I don't know how many thousands of euros, very expensive thing, and we were 2-3 people trying to make this broadcast. Now we just have one tripod, one iPhone or smartphone, one microphone, which is just a few meters and so easy to put on your phone, and you make broadcasts with an application on your phone, and you don't need anyone. So the cameraman is a little bit also the reporter, sometimes, of course, for not professional things, but for just these fast broadcasting cases. Apart from this, we need to know video editing, because you just have the video and then you can make the editing quickly and send it from your laptop. And you also write, you have to, so the skills are a lot of. In the traditional media, the reporters should know lots of things because they didn't have Google, so they had to know the information, they had to have the information in their minds. Nowadays we have to Google. If we forget something, if we don't know something, we can just Google it and learn it. So we don't need this part, but we need the digital skills to have the camera, you need to know the sunlight, you need to know the right position, you need to have the video editing, everything. So the skills have been transformed also for the reporters.
Yes, I completely agree with this, and I imagine how in the future the journalists just will stay at home and some kind of holograms we were talking instead, like avatars or something like this.
That's true. Now, we're talking about journalists, we're talking about media. Let's talk about people. Let's talk about consumers. We're producing news, and let's talk about consumers, about people. Should we have to train people as well, not only our staff, not only our journalists, but people as well to understand what's happening and what to consume?
Maybe this is one of the most important tasks for agencies, to learn to teach people to learn how to consume the news. Especially in Bulgaria, during the last 3 years, we are facing many examples of this. First, it started with COVID, and then with Russian invasion in Ukraine. So people trust social media a lot. So they don't know how to consume the news. They trust everything, and they definitely need to be taught.
And maybe this could start from the school, for example.
For sure, this process should start from schools, because they will not. There are people, the Z generation, for example, will not check the newspapers at TV. They are the generation that will consume the news only from digital sources, from iPhone or from social media.
Yes, of course, I wouldn't say we will teach them, but we would help them to choose from the variety of sources, because as we said before, there are a very big variety of sources like YouTube channels, the blogs, whatever. But on the other side, I could give an example from our agency, Anadolu Ajansı. We had a fact-checked department, and this department makes the fact-check for the audiences and readers. For example, if we see a video, if this department see a video and a comment on it, they can check the video to see when it was produced, what was the real fact, what were the what was the real information, and then the agency, this department, shares the true information for the audiences. So I think this doesn't help only for the specific case, for the specific video or information, but it can help also to show people that they don't need to believe everything they see on TV, on internet.
And my last question, because we're almost done. How can we imagine this interactivity between people and our media, our staff, our product, our journalistic product? We knew that many mainstream media like BBC tried to make people like journalists, offering videos or offering witnesses, but this started to change radically in the last years because of the digital content and because of the ways we described in our discussion earlier. The ways how journalists, how professionals are reporting the news immediately, just on time, when something's happening. Well, the question is, how can we make this relationship? How can we bring this relationship between people and journalists, people and the media, be again interactive?
Of course, all the agencies, all the TV channels have a limited number of staff, so they cannot be all the time everywhere at any time. That's why this sharing is important, because let's say there's a fire, there is very hidden snow, and till the reporter goes there, someone can shoot the video and send it. And everyone has a smartphone nowadays, so everyone is in a way a cameraman, a reporter. That's why, of course, this sharing is important, but this needs to be on specific events like these natural disasters and things. And when we had the natural disaster, the earthquake, let's say, for example, of course, these videos who were shared from the places where the earthquake took place were important, because you cannot go, you cannot be there at that time immediately. In a few hours you can be there, but for the moment, for that moment, it's important to have this sharing.
I think that a news agency should start a kind of campaign with people to teach them how to use social media. For example, I'm talking about social media because I believe that this will be the future and platform of information that people will go. TV and all kinds of other information channels will not be so popular. So I think that based on this experience that you have with fact-checking, we can share and to teach people how to check if this is true, not to share everything that they see and to spread everywhere, to report something that they knew it's not true. And even I think that we should teach people how to manage the floor in social media, because it's important.
Well, as a conclusion, I have to say that investing in digital media, investing in digital transition is the most important thing for news agencies, the most important thing for all media organizations, I think. We've already started making some steps, doing some steps, but we have a lot of way to be done, right? Yes. I'd like to thank you very much for being here and taking part in this interesting, I feel, discussion. And thank you, all of you, being here or watching via our live stream this discussion. Another interesting discussion is starting just after us. Thank you very much.